it going? We are working on this A36 Bonanza in the background you see there. We are in Wisconsin. It is mid-May, so still quarantine mustache time. It's still twirling reasonably well, but anyway. Took the M5 out here, so I drove, and rather than load up the wagon, I crammed everything in the M5 and had a great little drive up here. It's a great part of the country to be driving. That M5 actually is the reason Aviana exists, believe it or not. So I used to work for a biotech company, and I wasn't really happy there. So the thing you do when you're not happy at your job is you buy a nice car. So I bought my dream car, which when I was a kid, a 16-year-old boy, that was the E39 M5. So bought my M5, and I just got to work faster now. Didn't actually make me happier. But I did start looking into how to take care of it, and started learning about ceramic coatings, and you know, a little skeptical, like most of you probably are as well. But you know, something that was in the back of my mind, and I ended up quitting my job at one point. Started a marketing company, and I had all this free time, so learned how to coat my car. And I did a write-up on the M5 board, and then other people wanted me to coat their cars. And this was, you know, years ago when there wasn't a coating shop on every single street corner. So I did a bunch of cars, started M detailing, did a lot of Teslas, and being a pilot, I was thinking, why isn't anyone doing this to airplanes? So started doing it on airplanes. Started working with Malibu Aerospace in Minneapolis, and yeah, we started coating planes. People loved it. So Aviana was born, and here we are. As you can see, cleaning the leather first. Unusual, you might say. I just felt like starting on the leather. Normally we do paint first, but if you watch my videos but you don't finish them, maybe you didn't know that we can work on leather as well. So there, we're switching it around, starting on leather first. So I'm just cleaning right now. They're in pretty good shape, just, you know, they take on some color. Using Color Lock Strong Cleaner, which is a foam. And what I'm doing is I'm spraying a little bit of water on there, then taking a little bit of foam, yellow scrubber pad, get it on there, work it in, and kind of scrub around the edges. Now when you get to so this is common on Beechcraft seats. There's a lot of pleats and stuff. When you get to those areas and the edges, use the Color Lock wooden scrubber because it's long bristles, so you can get in there and kind of get into that texture a little bit better. And then microfiber towel, wipe it up. And there you have it. And all of these products are in the description below too, if you wanted to get after it on your own seats. I'm going to try to show a before and after. I know we can on the pilot seat, co-pilot seat, those are a little dirtier, but maybe you can see it on here. So this is the part that we just did. You can see it's a lot less shiny, so that's all oils and who knows what on the seat. You can also see it's a little bit lighter. So it's not as dramatic, but you can definitely tell, even on these seats in good condition, there's room for improvement. So we're going to get started with paint correction, but we're going to wash it first. Airplane's pretty clean, so it's really just going to be quick spray on, wipe off, 1 to 20 no rinse. Make sure there's nothing abrasive on the paint first. When we get on the underside, we'll use a little bit of degreaser, make sure there's no oils or anything left behind. So it'll just be a quick wash, and we start polishing.
Bonanzas have pretty hard paint, so I'm going to start off with a more aggressive pad here, which is the Rupes wool pad. Get some hyper polish on there and go into town with the Rupes 21. Lots of pad cleaning in between to make sure that the pad keeps its cutting ability and doesn't turn things dull. Now on this before and after left hand, you can see the black obviously gets a lot blacker because we're getting rid of the swirls, but on the top half, you see how the reflection's a lot cleaner. That's the oxidation removal, and I'll show you a better before and after of that. Now, a lot of times I get questions on when do you use the dual action, when do you use the rotary. Well, here's a good case of getting in between those ribs. The rotary is going to be a lot better. It's a more precise tool. Going around edges like this, there's no way you could do that when a 21mm orbit polisher. The 21 is really good for large flat surface areas, especially because you're not sucking down battery when you're running at high power. But in this case down here, it's already pretty tight, and it's just nice to not have a cord dragging around and getting caught on the creeper wheels. After polishing, we panel wipe to get all the polishing oils out, and after that, coating. So the coating is wiped on. You apply it on a sponge. So there's about 1.5 milliliters that just got sprayed on there, and you work in sections, so it's easy on a Beechcraft because you got nice panels that you can use as references. So wipe the coating on and kind of even it out as much as you can. It's hard to see on here, but it's basically like a oily substance. Once you get good coverage, I usually just go again in a few different directions and make sure it is even. And then you want to have 2 microfiber towels ready. So the first towel kind of gets off the wet layer and removes the bulk of the excess coating. Then the second towel will just make sure there's no high spots. So it shouldn't pick up a lot of material, but because your first towel gets more saturated, it's not going to do as good of a job of removing that last little bit of coating. So that's why I like to use 2 towels. So variables such as temperature and humidity make a big difference in how well that coating goes on. And based on the temperature and humidity, you have to decide on how big of an area you want to coat before you wipe it, and also how long you can wait before wiping, all that kind of stuff. So those are just some of the variables that go into each job, and when you travel all over the country, you get a lot of experience working in different climates.
Alright, so the underside is coated. Actually, the whole fuselage is coated. Now, I'm going to start polishing the wings. So we're going to start on the top, polish, get the underside, polish, and then coat. And then we'll be out of here. If you can hear, it's raining really loud outside, so good thing I drove. So because the wings are white, it's going to be harder to show the before and after, and on camera it already looks really good, but I just want to prove to you that I'm actually doing stuff. So I'm going to use a tape. One of my acquired skills is starting tape with gloves on, so we'll do a tape line maybe right here. We'll do it right here so you can see it. And I don't like using tape because your polisher ends up picking up the glue residue, the tape residue, and just gets it all over. So that's why you don't see me using a lot of tape. But in this case, it's unfortunately the best way to show you the before and after on what appears to be a good looking wing. But let's take it up a notch. So now the second challenge is peeling the tape off with gloves. Come on. There we go. Here's the So here's before. Here's after. See how much cleaner the reflection is? And there's less haze. That was all just superficial oxidation hanging out on the paint.
Here's another after, before. You see that transition there? See how much whiter the light looks? Because that oxidation just shows up as a yellow filter. So that, but over the whole plane, is what I'm accomplishing. Now, because the underside of the wing has a lot more open space, it's worth dealing with the hassle of a corded tool in exchange for the speed of it. The rotary, great tool, but when you're dealing with that much surface area and it's hard paint, so you're running at a higher power setting, you just go through batteries very quickly. So that's why, in this case, you know, I have the room, I'm using the Rupes. And that staging in the background wasn't accidental either. I just love that car. Unfortunately, a tree fell on my M5. We had this large storm in Iowa. It was called a derecho, and we had 120 to 140 mile an hour winds in Iowa. So we're not used to getting hurricane force winds, and a very large tree branch sailed right from my car and hit it. So the A pillar, which you can see up there on the driver's side, has a pretty big dent in it. And I'm still trying to figure out how to get that fixed, if that's possible. So I'm really glad I took out the car on this trip and got some good video of it.
Coating time. This wing looks incredible. What you need to consider is that this is 2001 paint. It's 19 years old. And I'll tell you what, you buy a brand new Bonanza, not gonna look this good. Not out of the factory at least. And this paint's gonna be protected for years. Easy to clean, get those bugs off. Now the common question always is, will it go faster? The common answer is no, probably not. If it goes faster, I will take all the credit, but I promise nothing. And the reason is, I mean, as smooth and slick as this plane is right now, all these rivet heads, gaps here, like all of that adds more drag than what I'm reducing with polishing and coating. So it's probably not going to go faster because of that, but this plane will go faster, and I'll show you why.
So like I said, one of the sources of drag on an airplane are those gaps in between like flaps and ailerons. Well, as I was detailing this, I'm underneath there, and guess what I found? There was a gap seal that was missing, part of it was missing, but the other end was just flapping loose in the wind. So bringing attention to that and fixing that will actually reduce drag. So if someone does claim that your airplane's going to go faster because they're going to ceramic coated, I would really take that with a grain of salt. The evidence just doesn't suggest it for this type of airplane. Overall, I was super happy with how this plane turned out. Even though the paint was in pretty good condition, we were able to boost the gloss, give it much more resilient paint, much easier to clean paint, and ongoing maintenance is going to be a lot less. So thanks for watching. Thanks for keeping up with the channel, even though I'm not super regular about putting content out, but I'm going to do my best to edit more videos and get more stuff out.